Hey guys, I'm on my Forerunner account right now, which I've really been slacking on. I have not been putting a lot of effort into this thing because I just don't have the time. It's so much work, and I think they generally have lower epic rates, which really is annoying. So I just haven't had any desire to play. But that's besides the point. In this video, I'm just going to be going over every character in the game on Forerunner that isn't on global. I thought it would just be kind of interesting to go over. As you can see, just alone on the fighters, there's already like 8 new ones that are not on global. We got some rares, as you can see, which I will go over. There's more rares, and there's some epics, which I won't. I'll just kind of skim through. You can watch the video I posted pretty recently on the epics, and that's besides the point. But let's start from the bottom up, or let's start from the rares, and then let's go up. Also keep in mind, this is an emulator, and it really doesn't like my computer, so it might be a bit laggy, but hopefully it's not too bad. I'll try to fix it in the future, but it doesn't seem like it will. But to start off, we have Laudine, who is one of the new rares. Not a lot of people have reviewed. Obviously, it's a rare, so she's not going to get good reviews, but it's a healer. Gives attack-based healing to one ally in range, normal range, and then her auto is an auto cast. This is about light locks auto cost, which is really good. Very, very, very cheap. Heals the ally with the lowest HP in range with a 220% healing multiplier. Pretty solid for a rare. Every 20 seconds, applies a heal over time effect to the next target she heals, which can heal the target per second with a 12% healing multiplier for 8 seconds. Sounds pretty interesting. We don't have really any continuous healing characters, or at least not many. So that's definitely pretty cool. I'm definitely cool with that. And then the other one, let's just look quickly to try to find it. Maybe I should have prepared a bit more for this video, but I think it's fine. The other one is Gogran. So Gogran is a fighter, normal damage. Uh, Damage with 10% chance to stun. His ult increases attack speed of 3 random surrounding allies by 40 for 10 seconds. That's not terrible for a rare, but I don't really know why you would use him. Once HP drops below 35%, increases attack, defense 20%. Lasts for 10 seconds, it could only be triggered one time per deployment. This is terrible. It's such a specific requirement, and it's only one per deployment. Unless he has he doesn't have shorter revival time, but unless he did, I don't see it being good, unfortunately. Though let me go over some of the epics. 1 second. I'm just going to kind of skim through. We have a Bizu, who's actually really good. I hear, basically a second epic cultist lord, does really good damage. I won't go over the kit. You can check out my video on it later. She's very good. We have Kalina. Kalina, I was so excited for. She doesn't crit. She doesn't need crit damage. I thought she'd be cool. True damage, blah blah blah. She's apparently not very good, which is really, really disappointing. And then if we go up, there is 2 more. We have Esme, who is a marksman that poisons, but is an epic rarity. She's one of, I think, 2 characters in the epic rarity that poisons, the other one being Nassault. If I had a test server, I would test Nassault and Guild Boss, because I heard Nassault got fixed, and they're actually really good, but that's besides the point. She poisons, whatever. And then the one one of them that I was very excited about too was Jorge, George, I don't know, whatever his name is. Apparently he's not very good either, which really sucks. Basically, if you don't have a Lego Lord tank for dealing damage, you're not going to be able to deal damage. That's just besides the point. Now let's just kind of talk about the legendaries. Just kind of go in order. We're going to read the kit. I'm going to say how good I think they are. I could always be wrong. This is just first impressions. I know people on Forerunner can definitely correct me on that, but whatever. First of all, we have Selene. I use Selene in the thumbnails when I'm talking about the Shadow Keeper and Void Rift because they look the same. Magic Fighter has 2 range, and she has a talent which is Throbbing Wound, a applies a mark to the enemy every time the hero deals damage to it. When the enemy has 4 stacks of marks, deals 200% damage to the enemy. If you know what the Selene artifact is, it's like kind of similar to this in a way, just like kind of different. 120% magic damage when fully skilled. She has very cheap ult. It's auto, which is good. Deals damage to an enemy 3 times swiftly. Dealing 200% damage with 2 hits, and then 320% damage with the last hit. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. As you can see in the video there. She has a passive, which is Lunge. Basic attack has a 15% chance to trigger this effect, dealing 150% damage to multiple enemies in range. And then basic attack and Lunge have 10% chance to apply 2 stacks of marks. When Throbbing Wound is triggered, the mark deals damage to enemies bearing the mark, regardless of distance, and the damage dealt scales with the number of mark stacks. Pretty interesting character. If we check the reviews, it's not good. She doesn't seem too great. Like her kit seems interesting enough, but it depends. It reads like it depends so heavily on how good her multipliers are, and she doesn't really have anything but damage. So if she doesn't have good multipliers and doesn't do crazy damage, she's not going to be good. Higher chance to trigger Lunge, crit damage. When killing an enemy, gains an effect of ignoring 50% magic resistance, raging an attack, blah blah blah. Casting the ultimate 1 time, the targets of the next ultimate cast are increased by 2. Interesting. So it hits more people when you trigger after you trigger it once, which is interesting. But I don't think Selene will be all that good, unfortunately. But next we have Ares, who's kind of interesting. He looks sick, I will say. Really cool character. He's part of the Nightmare faction. I should have said that the Selene is part of Esotericists as well. But Ares, part of the basically best faction for fighters. He's a Minotaur. Basic attack applies defense reduction 20%. I'm pretty sure that's less than Estrid, but it's around like Torador level, I want to say. I could be wrong. 120% damage to 1 enemy. He does normal damage. He's a fighter. Increases damage by 50%. Semi-expensive ult, but not really. This is about the average. Increases damage by 50%. Dealing damage is 30% chance to inflict physical damage, vulnerability 30%, which is really solid on the target. So he stacks this on his ult, and then he also will have defense reduction. Looks like he does a decent amount of damage, which is pretty cool. He has an auto, which is 25% chance of dealing 150% damage with basic attack. Targets inflicted with vulnerability, which he applies on his ult, by the hero himself, take double the damage. During the ultimate, the chance is increased to 35%. That's really solid. Whirlwind Cut, when deployed, immediately attacks up to 5 enemies in front, dealing 200% damage, inflicting stun and vulnerability physical damage. So this works pretty well with his kit, since this makes it really good when he applies vulnerability. Stun is a terrible debuff. It's 3 seconds though, which is not bad. He has an on-deploy thing. I don't really like on-deploy things, but whatever. It looks like he's solid. He reads solid too. He just seems like a good solid fighter. Let's look at the base stats. I probably should have looked at them on the other one. I'll go back to Selene and look at the base stats. But high HP, decent, like pretty high attack. He has an average cost. Pretty normal stuff. Looks really solid. Wicked 1 is during the ultimate, increases attack speed by 100. That's basically Silas ult. Attack percent, decent. During the effect of the ultimate, ignores 20% of the target's defense, reminiscent of Silas in a way, but not really. That's really good though. Crit rate up is fine, and Whirlwind Cut can be triggered on death. So when he dies, this activates. I mean, no one's ever going to have him A5, but good enough. It's pretty solid. Let's look at Selene's base stats, just to check them out. Yeah, no wonder she sucks. Her attack is so low. For a fighter, this is low attack now, especially for characters not on global, because they are kind of souped up. And then fairly low HP. She's not very good, it seems. And then we get to Ma. So Ma, the demon captain or whatever, he looks so... I hate this design. I'll be honest, he looks kind of ugly. He is part of the best melee faction, but from what I've heard, Ma has been like one of the glitchiest units ever on Forerunner, which I will get to in a second, and he's not very good. Normal range, burst damage, bleed. Each attacking launch has a 25% chance of inflicting bleed upon the target. Pretty mid. 100%, 120% damage when fully skilled. One enemy. Auto is fairly expensive. He doesn't start with anything. Hero executes one enemy within range and gains these boosts after a short delay. Execute is decent, I guess. It sounds pretty decent, but I'm not sure if it is. Each basic attack launch has a 15% chance. Also, you could adjust the numbers I'm reading based on their skills if you would like. It's so much reading that I'm going to have to do today that I'm not going to read all of that. Anyways, basic attack, 15% chance to deal 120% damage, one enemy knocking them back with 2x strength. Not sure what 2x strength means, but whatever. Damage to targets inflicted with bleed increases by 50%. He is very inconsistent bleed, so that probably doesn't make the biggest difference. His other passive, killing targets, increases the hero's damage by 5% and max HP by 5% permanently, stacking up to 3 times. So it's about 15% more damage and max HP. Not terrible, especially since he does have execute. He has decent base stats, pretty high HP and defensive stats, and a solid attack stat. Basic attack on targets inflicted with bleed recovers max HP. Pretty cool. Crit rate increased when impalement it's triggered, which is the insta kill thing. Immediately restores rated by 100%, but cooldown 90 seconds. And it stacks 2 times the attribute bonuses. So basically, he one shots and then he one shots, which is really cool. Ridge is pretty cool. Penetration is good. Bloody Shove guarantees crit rates on targets inflicted with bleed. The thing is, his bleed is so inconsistent, or it breeds so inconsistent, that I don't know why his whole kit is based around his bleed. He's really bad. So from what I've heard, he just kills your own team something. For some reason. So apparently he's been one of the glitchiest characters ever, because he when he ultimates, he just kills himself and his and his teammates. I think I heard at some point. I'm not sure if it was fixed at all, but it's funny that he just kills everything but not the enemies. Just ridiculous. So just keep in mind, he's not very good. So moving on, Giselle is on global. Yrden's on global. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 more fighters, and then I think there should be like another 6 characters across the other classes. Most of the ones not added are fighters. First of all, we have Helga, who's an esotericist. She's actually the free fusion. I wasn't able to get it on Forerunner because, I started once it already started and I was new and I didn't grind the game out. But from what I heard, I'll get into it in a second. She is busted. So first of all, I'll look at her base stats first. Pretty low attack, not ideal unfortunately, but that's okay. Because I think her abilities are where she shines. Look at the reviews first. It's not bad, but considering she is a free fusion, it's pretty good. Okay, well, whatever. She has a pretty interesting range. It's basically like Zilla to Arrogance range. She gains something that is unique to her called Specialized Attack Speed, which provides a greater reduction in attack interval based on the attack speed attribute. So basically, you want to build her like full attack speed. Like you want attack speed main, you want attack speed subs, I think you even want attack speed left side stats, because she benefits from it more than most characters. But you'll see that in a second. Interesting basic, 60%. 80% when skilled, magic damage to one enemy, but if the target is not blocked by the hero, deals an additional 20% damage 2 times. So basically, for example, for things like Guild Boss, you want to put her the tile back so she is not blocking, so she does more damage, and she also has a different ability which also makes that better, which we'll get to in a second. Her ultimate is a highlight though. It's fairly expensive, only lasts 7 seconds, but she rapidly strikes the target with the highest HP in range, dealing 20% damage 4 times every X seconds. X is equal to 30% attack interval, which becomes shorter as the hero's attack speed increases. Um, so, uh, from what I've heard from like War Guides, who has tested her on a test server and everything, this, I'm not sure how the calculation works, but apparently this can go up to like 5,000% multipliers or something crazy like that if you have her with like a perfect attack speed build, which is insane. I have yet to test her because I don't have a test server, and I'm really disappointed that I don't. But if I had a test server, I would be testing like all of these characters for you right now. But when I get it, I'll test these characters, okay? But before then, I can only read the kits, unfortunately. Uh, though her passive Cool Storm is during the ultimate, every 8 times of damage dealt to the same target inflicts stun and 100% damage. Stun, once again, not a good debuff. They seem to like putting them on new characters because it's not a good debuff and they want them to be better. But whatever. This reads okay. Um, but this is the other thing I was talking about, where you want her behind an ally. And that's because when there's an ally within 1 tile ahead, it increases crit damage equal to 10% of the ally's crit damage. It goes up to 15%. So imagine you have a Zilla2 or something in front, because you want Zilla2 to block, so she gets the DPS increase. She would get 15%, which, let's just say your Zilla2 is 400%. That adds a lot. You know, this is like a whole like Ancient Wrath set bonus or something crazy like that. Her Awakenings increases damage dealt to the same target by 1% with each consecutive hit, with a maximum increase of 15%. Effect will reset when switching targets. Pretty solid, good for guild boss. Crit damage increase. When dealing damage, there's a 20% chance to inflict magic resistance reduction, which is a pretty unique debuff. For guild boss, it should help Zilla2 and stuff like that. So that's not bad. Rage read and attack. And during the ultimate attack interval, it reduces by 20%. This is really solid. Probably a big power increase. But she seems pretty solid. She doesn't seem game breaking, but for a free legendary fusion, she reads really good. But this guy is who we're gonna move on to. This is the guy I was most excited about reading over because I don't know what he does, and he looks sick. I really like his design, though I don't really like his board. This thing looks a bit weird, but I think he looks sick. Massive sword. He's a Nightmare faction. I should mention that this was Esotericist, and most of these guys are Esotericist or Nightmare, which is kind of interesting. But that's beside the point. So Magmus, normal range, multi-target attack, counter attack, applies Magma Burst, which is unique to him, consumes 1 stack to deal 125% additional AoE damage to the target, and up to 3 target units around the target with the next basic attack or retribution. So it applies that to the hero every 7 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So it's pretty fast, not too shabby, just normal basic to 1 enemy. Slightly cheaper ultimate than usual, 12 seconds. Turns the ground around the hero into flowing lava that deals 60% damage to enemies on it per second. During the effect, increases block by 2 and max HP by 80%. Lasts for 12 seconds. So this is really good. This might make him viable in the new Infertile Codex boss, honestly, because then he gets 4 block, 5 if you run an artifact like Lunacy Visor. So that sounds decent. It looks pretty cool. I'm not sure how good it is, but it seems fairly decent by reading it. 25% chance to launch an instance of attack on 1 enemy in the basic attack range when receiving damage. Inflicting vulnerability physical damage, and it can be triggered 1 time every 8 seconds. So basically, when he gets attacked, he has a chance to hit them, basically. So he'll get attacked, hit them because of getting attacked, once every like 8 seconds, 5 if you skill him up. He has another passive which, when HP is higher than 80%, increases all damage reductions by 15%. When it's below 80%, increases damage by 15%. Pretty solid. Basically, when he's higher HP, he's tankier. When he's lower, he does more damage. Pretty solid. Let's look at his stats. Jeez, 8k. And he has good HP. That's really, really solid. But his attack interval is pretty bad. Most of them are like 2.6. But for context with the attack, Ardea is at about 8k. So Magmus has about Ardea attack. So it should be easy to build him with like 30k attack, which is really nice. Applies defense reduction, which is a pretty weak defense reduction to enemies in range when lava flow is in effect. Pretty mediocre because it's not a very powerful decrease. Gains attack when this is probably pretty bad because his attack is already insanely high. When retribution is triggered, which is this thing, gains a stack of magma burst, penetration increase, and then retribution becomes available instantly and has 0 cooldown when lava flow is activated. So basically it just refreshes this, and then every time he's hit he has that chance to counterattack when he's in his ult. Pretty solid. Let's read the reviews though. He seems pretty good, as you can see. Definitely a pretty cool character. One that I'm fairly excited to have added. And then we have Valderon. I'm just gonna skim over Valderon, like kind of talk about him. I do have a video. It's like, what's the deal with Valderon, where I did talk about him. Just know that he's one of the best solo lords in the game. He's not the best at buffing his allies, but he is insane at just doing damage. I've seen him do like 1.2 mil with some pretty like good gear, but nothing too insane. And it was just insane. Basically, he has a chance to trigger a lot of things in his kit, which basically do a special basic attack. He gains a lot of stacks. You just gotta make sure that he doesn't die or he gets worse, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's pretty easy to manage considering his ultimate basically just kind of refreshes this thing. I don't know how I can explain fast. I'm probably running out of time, so I'm just gonna move on. Magda, I've heard very good things about, and also that she's a little bit glitchy, so definitely she needs to be fixed before releasing to global. She's a cultist melee unit, which is really good. So you only need her, Uridan, or Cerberus to fully max out cultist factions, which is nice. She's Zillitu's like sister or something, or at least that's what people call her because she looks kind of similar. Um, but anyways, multi-target attack, multi-strike attack. When an ally dies in range, crit damage increases by 70%, which is a lot for 12 seconds. So you can probably manage this by like plopping a Decimus in front of her or something. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it is possible. Or maybe in arena you could have like Laurel somehow oriented in front of her and she'd do better. Whatever. She does AoE damage to 5 enemies in range. She uh, she has an ultimate, which is a little expensive, but not too bad. Which each attack lands 3 strikes for 20 seconds, which each strike dealing 160% AoE damage. So per hit, she's doing 3 hits basically, and they're stronger. They are stronger hits, which is pretty cool. Her passive is the caster and allies in range gain penetration increase, which is solid, and damage increase. So she buffs people in her range, which is really cool. Upon triggering talent or ultimate, basic attack knocks back enemies, lasting for 6 seconds. So this is the part of her kit which isn't the best because it's glitchy and stuff like Arena, which she gets used a lot from what I know. And she will actually push people behind her somehow because it's so buggy and it's just not a good time. She's pretty expensive, 20 cost. She reminds me of Valkyria. Uh, she has fairly low attack, unfortunately, but she does so much with her abilities that I assume she's not bad. As you can see, she's probably the best fighter that's not on global right now. When deployed, immediately restores 5 costs, so they give you cost for placing her, which is pretty cool. Attack. This by the way, it basically means you still need the 20 to place her down, but she like kind of costs 15. Whatever, it's not important. After an ally dies in range, attacks 5 more targets for 12 seconds. Pretty solid. If you could trigger this, she triggers the crit damage increase, and then this penetration, and then during the ultimate, increases attack speed by 100. she's a very solid character. As you saw by the reviews, she's absolutely amazing and very, very good. So let's move on to tanks. There are 2 tanks. And then afterwards, we have to go through no marksman, actually. But there should be at least one more character to go over. We have one here. And then I think that's it, actually. I think we only have 3 more legendaries to go over. So let's just do that. Um, to start it off. Oh, wait, no, we have 4 more legendaries because Artemis technically isn't added to global yet. But first, we have Krodor, who is a northerner. He kind of looks like a troll. I mean, pretty interesting design. Not sure why this guy's a northerner. I would have thought he could have been like esoteric. No, maybe not. I don't know. Northerner feels weird, but I guess it's just because it's a good faction for him. Damage reduction, control, damage scales off of defense, which is really cool. We need more of these guys, and we also need more people who scale off of HP. Only Gluttony does, unfortunately. But that's besides the point. Increases defense by 2% for 20 seconds, each time taking damage, capping at 20% defense. So if he's taking consistent enough damage, he's gaining a lot of defense. Um, Basic is normal for one enemy. He has an ult, which increases block by 2, which is really good for tanks. That's 5 block when his ultimate is active. And it increases by his defense by 70%, so he's dealing more damage, he's tanking more, and he's covering more enemies. So it's very good for a tank. His passive, once HP drops below 30%, enters a state of anger, bellows up to 10 enemies ahead, and inflicts attack reduction, which is a fairly rare debuff, I think, or maybe I just don't notice it. Um, and after that, it does the next 5 basic attacks change into striking at most 10 enemies ahead, dealing 150% AoE damage and inflicting stun. Is it a long stun? No, it's not. So it's probably a mediocre debuff. But the ultimate is not available during this stage. This effect can only be triggered 1 time per deployment. So he's basically hitting a crazy amount of enemies once he gets below a certain point. So their passive is based on the number of adjacent allies, increases physical damage reduction and damage dealt. The effect reaches a maximum of 12% when there are 3 allies in range. Pretty solid. No idea why it says range when this is his range. Maybe it's just like a translation error. Who knows? Here we're gonna look at the defense. That's almost 4,000. That's like higher than something like Broke here. But let's check something like Gone, who does defense damage. Also pretty high attack, not attack, pretty high HP, which is good. Let's look at Gone, who damage scales off of defense, and he is about 4,000. So it's fairly comparable to something like Gone in terms of base defense. A lot better than Torador. Oh, wait. Torador scales off of attack. Never mind. Not important. It's close to Gone. That's what matters. Review-wise, he's not as good. He read so good, but maybe he's just not. Unfortunately, when gaining shield strength is 20% higher. That's whatever. More defense equals more damage. During the state of anger, basic attack restores an additional rage of 50, which is not terrible. All damage reductions by increased by 8%. Sorry. State of anger has a cooldown time of 60 seconds, so it makes it 1 time per deployment into 1 time every 60 seconds. Not bad. He reads a lot better than the reviews say he is, but I have no idea how good he is. But moving on, we get to Trusk, who also scales off of defense. And this guy's Esotericist. He looks pretty interesting. I heard something about him being a limited hero or something, but I could be wrong. Counterattack, damage reduction, damage escalating, which is interesting. Damage scales defense. Each basic attack has a 15% chance of triggering a roll, dealing 120% AoE damage to at most 3 enemies in range and knocking them up, which I'm not sure how that works, but it reads interesting. Additionally, when HP is below 50%, restores 5% max HP for every 4 instances of damage taken. Terrible, tired. But yeah, pretty basic attack. He scales off magic damage or he does magic damage too. Pretty expensive ultimate, but grants defense increased up to 3 adjacent allies, channels up to deal 100. Additionally, if directly hit by enemies, the hero will trigger counterattack, deal 300% damage one time. I'm not sure how counterattack works. Like, does he just attack back? Is it just like damage that happens? I'm not 100% sure because there aren't many counterattack heroes. If we look at the video, he does his AoE thing, and then at the end it cuts off. So like, what are we even looking at? Whatever. He has counterattack. Passive: when the ultimate is triggered, the hero pulls. So he's a pull hero, which is interesting. He pulls one unblocked target in adjacent tiles towards himself. Defense increases by 10% and block by 1 until the ultimate ends. Additionally, ranged enemies will prioritize targeting this hero during this time. So he pulls someone in adjacent tiles towards himself, increases his tankiness and his block, which is solid, and then he gets like a taunt effect, basically. He has another passive, which each ultimate cast increases defense by 10% permanently, stacking up to 2 times. 4 as at max skill. He also has the potential to gain 5 block, I think, because he gets a block here, and he gets a block here. So best case, he has 5 block approximately. We will look at his defense. Very high base defense. I don't know why his attack is so high since it doesn't matter. He has good HP, pretty similar to the last guy, but is he better at all? Is the question. Um, Looking pretty solid actually. Like shockingly not bad. So maybe he is actually pretty solid. Good to have an esotericist tank that is legendary and actually not terrible. Arda. But anyways, Awaken 1. HP below 50%, reduces all damage taken by 30% for 5 seconds. Pretty solid. Effect can be triggered one time every 40 seconds. Pretty decent. 40 seconds, not forever, I guess. More defense, so that's pretty easy. That's pretty good. Deals 20% extra damage to enemies blocked by himself. Not too bad. Damage reduction is increased. And when receiving fatal damage for the first time, restores 30% max HP immediately. So when he's about to die, he restores HP. So it's not really unyielding, but it's like kind of similar-ish. He reads pretty good. Also, Draga, you can read her on global. She's technically not on global intentionally. Same with Philippa. But that's besides the point. Let's go down here. We have Artemis to go over, who's one of my favorite heroes in the game. I managed to pull him on Forerunner really early, and I will admit he's not too good early game because you need him to have a lot of rage cycling to get his full usage, but it's whatever. I did do an Artemis review, but it wasn't really a dedicated video. It was just kind of in a leak video in the past. Just know that Artemis is one of the best healers in the game. Most likely because he fulfills the role of damage and healing, and he's really good. He has normal range. He has blood craving, which basically makes his basic attacks do more healing. And when he applies it, he gains rage, which is really good because he only does damage. And his ultimate is fairly expensive, unfortunately. Applies anti-healing. It does crazy damage. Like, this does a lot more damage than you think it is. It does attack-based healing on his main. During the ultimate, it heals up to 3 allies around the target with a healing multiplier. And basic attack prioritizes enemy targets during the ultimate unless there are only allies in range. So it'll hit all the enemies until they die, and then it'll heal with AoE, which is really good. This thing, he basically tosses them on it, makes so his basic attacks do more healing, and blah blah blah. Not important. His base stats are not too bad. That's very high attack, and this is the main highlight of his awakenings. You only need to build him with 50% crit rate if you have him 50%. More attack, longer duration, auto, and then this heals allies in range per second. So it's like constant healing. Just know that his A1 is very good, and you need to build him with crit rate, but his A1 makes it a lot easier, and he does crazy damage. Very, very, very good hero. Should be on hopefully global soon, but whatever. Just double checking here to make sure I don't miss anyone, and yeah. So we only have Carosa left. I have not heard good things about Carosa. She's a mage, magic damage, only mage, not on global, at least in terms of legendaries, from what I can see. Um, she has a really bad range. I don't know why. Units have this type of range. They can't reach very far, although they can hit behind. This is like Aeon range. Multi-target attack, debuff for every 8 basic attack by the hero and her grimoire, which is her book. Next basic attack summons the arcane realm, centering one enemy for 5 seconds. Enemies in the realm, vulnerability, magic damage, receiving 60% AoE damage per second. Reads pretty solid, pretty basic attack. Ultimate is fairly cheap. Enters arcane stance, attack increases. When dealing a basic attack, her grimoire will attack 2. This effect lasts for 10 seconds. Reads fine. I'm not sure how it works. This is like the type of character you would have to test. When summoning the Arcane Realm in the Arcane Stance, has a 30% chance to summon one extra Arcane Realm with their Grimoire. No idea what the Arcane Realm does, but whatever. Do we have a... No, we don't have a video. Her passive is after the hero or her Grimoire summons the Arcane Realm. No idea what that is, because I can't test her at all. Increases the hero attack by 4% permanently, up to 3 seconds. Never mind. I read showcase and I was like, maybe it actually tells us how to use her. She's fairly cheap. Wow. That might be the lowest base stats I've ever seen on a legendary. No wonder I heard she was garbage. She has 2,000 attack. For context, like Comet has been in the game forever. Let's see, Comet. Where am I looking for him? Okay, here. Let's look at his attack. 4.6. Let's look at like Vierna attack. Just to put this in perspective even more. Vierna attack, it's a bit lower, but it's still over 4,000. Let's look at Voltus attack real quick. Voltus is a rare. He's the first character you ever get. He has more attack than she does. Wow. That is shocking. Why are her stats so low? I know she does like a lot of instances of damage, but it doesn't mean anything if those instances do no damage. No wonder she's one of the worst heroes in the game. Like, huh? No. I don't know what this means. Yeah, thanks for nothing. Shamir is better. Oof. So it looks like Shamir is no longer the worst legendary in the game. uh, Arcane Stance, more attack speed. It's crazy that they need to make it souped up in order for her to be manageable, and yet it does nothing because it doesn't matter how many attacks you do, how many instances of damage, if the damage does 0 damage. Like, I don't understand. More attack. This is an insane increase. This is like like 20% more attack. Crazy. When it summons, duration of the stance increases, whatever. All damage 8%. That does nothing for her because it's already so low. Arcane Realm's damage per second is increased to 80%. Why would you ever use her? She's so bad. These base stats are the worst base stats I've ever seen on any character ever. Her magic resistance is high, and that's all you can say about her. But like, she's platform. Why does she need it so high? Shabir has so much more attack than she does. Like, what's a bad mage? Zealous is considered bad. I don't think he's that bad, but like 4,000. What the hell? How much does Mari have? Mari's not built for attack. Mari has slightly less. Come on. That's ridiculous. That's so bad. But anyways, that's enough of ending on the worst character I think I've ever seen ever. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am excited for some of these heroes to come to global, especially Artemis. Like, honestly, Artemis is probably the best one. Um, but there are some other ones that are cool. The defenders seem kind of interesting. Some of these guys, I really want Ares to be on global. Helga seems cool. Magda seems really good. But Valderon, Magmus are probably the two I'm the most excited about, apart from Artemis, obviously. 2 new rares. 4 new epics. Go check out that video if you're even still listening at this point. But yeah, I think that's about it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day and night, whenever it is where you are. Bye bye.